So I am all set.
My name is Juan Escobedo, and my area is public and community health awareness.
And then if you could describe the project that you're working on to detail and your other therapy.
The project I'm working on is a documentary on a group of women in East LA, Boyle Heights. They are Las Promotoras. And Las Promotoras, these group of women, they focus on sexual assault and domestic violence. They provide education and resources in the community. And what's so special about this project is not just sexual assault or domestic violence. They also, during the pandemic, they were knocking door to door, providing resources, providing education, providing anything that these families, where they knocked on the houses, anything those families needed, they would have a list of resources for food pantry, for vaccinations, for if the woman was a victim of domestic violence and they picked up on that or they sensed it, they made sure they came back and knocked on the doors again just to make sure the family was okay. And oftentimes what would happen is they would go ready to basically pull these women out and put them into shelters. So these women, or this project about these women, I hope that it amplifies their voices, amplifies what they do in the community. They're sort of they were also frontline workers, but nobody knows who they are, and yet they were out there on the front lines, getting infected with COVID, risking their families from infection for COVID. So they really put themselves out there through the pandemic. And they still do often. They go out into the homeless encampments and they pass out information on resources for the food pantries or for shelter. And they're constantly always out there putting themselves, and they go unrecognized. So I hope that with this project, with this film, we're able to amplify what they do, and at the same time educate the public a little bit more as to how they got there. Most of the times, 99% of the women that are involved in being a promotora, they've gone through a lot of trauma, either domestic violence, sexual assault in their country, and they come here fleeing their abuser. And that trauma, they've worked through the trauma, they started a healing process here, and that has helped them to help other women to get out of a domestic violence situation. As an artist, this project has profoundly deepened my understanding of how my work intersects with the broader social issues, particularly the inequities and injustice surrounding domestic violence and sexual assault. One of the things about this fellowship is that it's going to give these women a voice. It'll cast a wider net beyond East LA, beyond Boyle Heights, which is where the project takes place. So hopefully with this film, this documentary, this project, through this fellowship, we'll be able to bring awareness, not just LA, but the United States, and hopefully around the world, where people can see what a promotora does and how they use their horrible life that they went through or situation that they went through to help others. Some of the stories that you'll hear is just beyond belief, and hopefully people will get to see what they're all about. So this fellowship, I've always been a community advocate, and I always felt that to create art, it has to come from somewhere. You have to be influenced from somewhere. And for me, it's always been the community. All the work that I've done, there's a direct connection to the community of East LA, which is where I've been involved for the past 25 years. The fellowship for my future goals is just reinforced the community part of it. And I've always felt that you needed that as an artist. You needed it to come from somewhere, your inspiration. And it's just a beautiful thing to see when you come to the table and you invite community members, whether they're youth, as young as 12, and you get their input on something, you get them involved in a project, to the elderly. I think community, it's life without art and without community is just, what's the point of it? You know, these women are very strong women. They're mujeres maravillas, Wonder Women. So confidence, they have a lot of confidence. They've gone through a lot. So the confidence part of it, they can handle any situation, and I've seen it. But the beautiful thing about their stories, if you can say beautiful, it's that when we come to the community and we have our roundtables, whether it's 25 people or 100 people, we all learn from their stories. And it's such an amazing thing to see when somebody comes in and they're new to this and they hear the stories and they go home. And you know that when they come back, you know that information that they got from these women, from their stories, you know it just percolated somewhere through that 1 week that we take off from that meeting. They come back and they come back with more questions. They want more answers. And you can see the transformation in people. And you can see a healing process, if you will, when people come in, take the information, even if it's just one word, one thing, one image, one thing or hear that they see, they go, they sit on that information, they digest it little by little, and then they come back hungry for more answers because they maybe also have gone through similar issues and they want to break those cycles that these women are constantly breaking or helping to break these cycles of violence. So it's beautiful to see that. And the interesting thing is that in every interview that we've done, we've had different crew members documenting, and they just look at each other. They're like, what? And because they can relate their stories to their families, to their lives, and seeing those transformations, it's really beautiful to see. It's very rewarding to see.
That's amazing. So through your efforts in this project, you're reaching the community and with a certain empathy, right, that they have with the promotoras and how they're able to think, correlate that to their own lives and take that information and begin a healing, and it's already starting to like blossom.
It's a trickle effect.
Trickle out, right? That's amazing.
Yeah. This fellowship meant so much to me because even though I've done the work before for, I always knew there was a documentary in Las Promotoras, but as an artist, you constantly looking for financing, you don't get the financing, or you get very, very small amount of financing or resources. But with this fellowship, it's the resources, the financing has been very generous to the point that I can dedicate 24 hours a day to this project, as opposed to having to think about clocking in somewhere for a job to be able to pay the rent, to pay the bills. And what this fellowship has allowed me to do is to give more time to the community, give more time to listen to the stories without having any other worries to think about. And I'm so grateful to the team, our community partners, and this fellowship, because it not only has it allowed me to dedicate a lot of time to it, most of my time to it, but also the people that we've been able to hire and put to work, and that speaks volumes for the fellowship.